Okay, we're recording.
Okay, Monday, April 29th, 2024, 5:30, Planning and Zoning Commission, call the meeting to order.
Okay, it's 5:34.
Yes, ma'am. Would look over the minutes and get first and second.
I'd make a motion to accept the minutes as written. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Anyone here to speak on behalf of the public?
We need to open it up first.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I'm up for a public hearing.
Okay, we're opening it at 5:35. There's no one to speak, so we can close the meeting.
Close the public hearing,
Okay.
and now we'll do the scheduled agenda items, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Number 3, discussion of any necessary action regarding a request to replat the property legally described as the Martin Addition Block 1, Lot North 72, an alley which was previously closed by a property owner. And Martin Addition Block 1, Lot S80, an alley which was previously closed by property owner. Into 4 lots. The property owner intends to build a single-family home on each lot.
Okay, Christie is.
Yeah, David owns these two, right now, 2 lots, 607 and 611 North Parks. And he's just wanting to plat them into 4 different lots, replat them into 4 lots. To the west faces Shelton, right?
Yes.
And then so 2 houses will face Shelton and 2 to face Parks. He's got plenty of room to divide them into 4 to build 1,000 square foot homes on them. Yeah, so there's this, that's the,
And they currently have.
yes, I did.
On the park side, there's already a sewer and water tap for both lots. And I'm just gonna have to extend the
Oh,
water
yeah.
sewer down.
It's a Douglas Street, not Shelton, sorry.
Douglas?
Is it Douglas?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
it's Douglas.
Douglas.
But I'll have to extend it 300 feet for water and sewer on the back 2 lots. Okay. In the future, we'll do those. But right now, the taps are already there for water and sewer.
And he did close the alley between the 2
I did.
lots a few years ago.
Yeah, a couple, 3 years ago.
Years ago, there were substandard houses over there that were
Well, I
torn
tore
down.
that house down, yes.
So you need a first, second, and a third.
It meets the requirements for, minimum lot size on
Yes,
these.
yes, which is 7,500. I believe when you break them up, they're like 8,000.
Can I get a first?
Yes.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Yeah.
Approved.
Who's second, question, second?
Yes.
All right, so. The next item that we have today is gonna be a discussion in here, necessary action for the recreation plans. This is Ken with Public Management. He'll kind of explain to you why he's here and what we're trying to do. And I'll get this pulled up.
So my name's Ken. I met some of you all last time. I'm not sure if I met you, but Ken Poirier. I'm pretty sure I met you too. And we were here last month and the month before, and we went over the housing, the population, the land use, and we went over the park plan in general. But what we're trying to do, these sections are all going to be part of the comprehensive master plan. And the only thing we lack now is the engineer study, which is the water, the sewer, the streets, and we're hoping to have that tonight, but it's gonna be, we'll need another meeting next month to send the whole thing through to you guys. But the reason we want to get the parks finished tonight, get this from you guys over to the commission is so that we can get the park plan up to Texas Parks and Wildlife before June 1st. And because we're going to apply for a Parks and Recreation grant to do some improvements over at the main city park, putting in a splash pad. And it turns out we're gonna have to do some ADA compliance to it's a wading pool, Stacy, or is it, okay, the wading pool, we can't build on top of it because it was done with a grant, it has to stay there, okay, but it's not ADA compliant right now. So that's gonna be in the application itself, so. Can you, just this is introduction, we've got just some stuff, general information about the city and some of the you can go on to the next one. Some of the things that, here's some census data that was part of the population study that we presented last time. page 3, this is the population where 2020, this is census, and then we did our housing count, and remember we went over this?
Yeah.
And we were showing you guys with over 6,000 people, and we projected out up to 2040, the low end is the minimum, and the high end is hopefully, where you guys might be at 2040, based on what's going on, what we saw in the field after we counted all the occupied structures in the city. These are some areas that are surrounding, like a regional look at some of, we've got, you guys, Possum Kingdom, Palo Pinto. We've got Fort Griffin, which is a historic site, and then of course Lake Daniel, which is gonna be part of this plan too. Doing some improvements out there. Okay, you can go ahead, Jessica, thank you. This is just a map, and we showed this to you last time, but got the sports complex, the main park, Breckenridge City Park, birdhouse, communities in there, and of course Booker T, Washington, and down a little bit lower. We can't, it's hard to zoom out all the way there, but that's where Lake Daniel Park is, so we keep going. This is a tabulation of the facilities. Once we were doing the driving around, looking at the housing and the population, we also went into the parks. Okay, so this is an inventory of all the parks. We got the ones that are owned by the city, Breckenridge, Booker T, Birdhouse Foundation, Community, Lake Daniel. And you go across here and you can see the amenities that are part of those parks, what's there right now, and kind of an inventory here. These are some privately owned, most of these are like apartment parks. Got Breckenridge Apartments, North Albany, East Power, Mountain Heights. And then, of course, the ISD has their own facilities, and this always intermingle with the community. This is, I don't know why Dalton put a picture of me in there, but if you remember, we did a community event, first of the year.
Yeah.
We did this. Anyway, we were looking at all the projects, y'all had the engineers involved. Remember, we're working on also this downtown revitalization project that we're doing, the sidewalks around the courthouse and then back here. And so at that, this is just a picture from that meeting. Y'all have also, as y'all know, y'all did some surveys, y'all did all these visioning sessions. That was late last year, I believe, and so all of that will get incorporated into here. You can keep going down. This is basically the existing parks. Got neighborhood parks. We've got a sports complex, community parks. There's only one community park. We're not gonna do another one that size, but there is room to do, little pocket parks and new subdivisions and little neighborhood parks that are a little bit smaller than the community park. You wouldn't be doing another one of that size here. These are some level of service that we currently have, and then of course in 2024, all we're showing here is like kind of based on some standards that Parks and Wildlife has and other plans that we've looked at. Really, what you're looking at is probably, missing out. There's some trails that can be done, trying to show deficiencies. I think that's one thing we recommended at Booker T, maybe putting a little trail over there. I know y'all had done some work over there, but that's kind of, these tables are showing the amenities you have and what you might need in the future. And mostly, I don't even know if an indoor rec center, it says 1 per 20,000. It's something that y'all may use school facilities to take care of that issue. Of course, I'm just saying here, maybe some additional trails inside Booker T and maybe some future parks that y'all have, putting in a little trail in there. Okay, we can keep going down a little bit. So here's priorities. We got implement improvements to Breckenridge City Park, splash pad, replace outdated equipment, upgrade landscaping. This is things that we would put into an application because you want to have some other things into the application other than just the splash pad. So we're trying to put in some other items that'll help the application score better. We've also got priority 2 and 3. 2 is Booker T, and she told me to take out the bleachers. We're not going to do that. So, but I was just talking to Cynthia before the meeting. So I think we're going to kind of swap 2 and 3 where we get into doing some of these improvements to Lake Daniel. There are some things that we can do at Booker T, and there's a smaller community grant from the same Parks and Wildlife people, but there's 2 separate ones. One is for the big one, and then there's other one, smaller amount of money for what's called a small community grant, and we could probably utilize that for Booker T.
Well,
And then-
excuse me,
Go ahead, yeah.
what did you say? Cynthia told you take what out?
Oh, the covered bleachers. She said they had done bleachers before.
Yeah, there was old bleachers up there from
When they did
60
that,
years, yeah, and those were taken out, and at this time, there's not that need up there.
So I would still, there's still some things that can be done over there, and I think it would make a much smaller grant than the one we're talking about doing this particular year. You can't do two in 1 year, or we try to do that. So we'll probably go after this large one for the big park splash pad. And then maybe depending on how that turns out, whether if we get funded, then we could use the small community and go after this one in the following year. And of course, Lake Daniels is gonna be boat docks, restrooms, RV spots, playground. And there's a big number on that, 1.5 million, I think COs, no, that's gonna be future. Okay, and then you see Community Gardens Park, replacing the garden beds, gravel drive, greenhouse. Priority 5 is a general. What we're gonna be doing with our subdivision regulations is requiring, when you have new development come in, requiring them to set aside land. So it's
For green space.
yeah, for green, it's really for public use, but most likely some kind of small park or just a green space, however that works out. A lot of stuff, I was telling the city, a lot of communities will, the developer will try to buy that out, and I would just recommend always keep that in subdivision. And then, of course, this is number 6 is in general kind of terms, designated natural areas for uses, because you know, anytime you have the ability to come across land in the city, you kind of need to have that, so it's not all built out. Okay, and then, those are the priorities, and then a little bit down, we've just rolled these into the goals and objectives. And the only thing we're gonna revise at this point will be flopping Lake Daniel and Booker T. Wash. So this is kind of a 2025 to 2040 time frame. Depending on how, you know, a lot of this stuff gets done, you may need to update this in 10 years, you know, depending on how all these, how the city develops and how much of this stuff y'all get done, quick as y'all get it done. So I know there's some monies out there right now for COs to take care of some of this stuff, but you know, the grant will help supplement that, and then those funds can be used somewhere else or another project. Okay, that's what I got.
You keep referring to grants. Educate us a little bit about the grant, because that was a lot of dollar totals.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, and this is a 50-50 grant with Parks and Wildlife, so, you know.
if the city spends a certain amount, they'll.
Yeah, it's the large community, it's called a non-urban outdoor park grant, that's the first one. And I think it's $750 is the total amount of grant you could get, which would make that a $1.5 million project, right? Up to that amount. The other one is still kind of in the same outdoor activity, but it's called a small communities grant. I think the total for that is $150, which would make that like a $300,000 project. So it's good. These grants are not good for all communities in the state. I'm gonna just flat out be honest with that, because they don't all have 150 grand laying around. I mean, it's just, but if these are projects, when you got communities your size that have already had these things on their list of things to do, it's a great way to supplement what you guys are already working on. That's why it's ideal for communities your size.
As far as that grant, we do want to survey this time, because we have another survey out right now to community members, so if you haven't taken it, take it. But one of the questions on there is about the desire for the splash pad and things like that, so if that helps.
And I think that was in some of the other material that I.
We do have that, and it'll close May 1st,
Okay.
so
So yeah, I'll need
we'll
that.
have the
we'll need
results of that after May 1st, so we went ahead and made sure to put that in there.
Okay. And all of that will be to help the application, support the application
For the grants.
for the grant, yes, sir.
So in this, there's not any action that needs to be taken.
Other than, yeah, I would like to have them approve it to go on to
City
the
Commission.
commission so that they can approve it next week, and then we can move it along to, we're gonna, as soon as the commission approves it, we'll finalize it. And then we'll send you guys a final copy after I make a couple of these revisions, and then we'll move that on to the Parks and Wildlife people, and that'll help y'all with when they're reviewing your application. You know, it's gonna help that y'all have a plan, and these things are in that plan that you're applying for.
Okay, good. First, you know, who was anybody second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll be back next month sometime, we'll need to set up a meeting so that we can put all of this together. with
Okay.
What we had given y'all last time. And most of the bulk of that meeting will be Sage, the engineer, going over the water, sewer, streets and the storm drainage. And then we'll put all that together so we can move that to the commission. And this is, once again, this is part of a grant, this planning that we're doing is part of the grant with the city.
So you stay with us with work with the city until we get the grant or whatever?
For the parks?
Yeah. this-
Oh, yeah, we're always, we do work, a lot of work for y'all anyway, so they already know that we're always available. And we're already involved with this other project as well, the sidewalks project.
One
If
of
you
the,
want a copy of that presentation, we can email you a copy of that presentation
on
or
the lake
print one out
ones,
for you.
Yes.
If you don't mind.
you had RV spots on our, it's one of them installing the whole
If you don't mind.
aerobic system or something out there for.
Stacy, do you know, how that's gonna actually work?
We're working on plans. We're not that far along on it yet.
Okay.
You talking about like Daniels?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There is an existing,
There was a
Septic system.
septic system out there. There's an existing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, this was something that we had put the plan together and the city came back to us and was wanting to add Lake Daniel in. So,
they had a
I
lake
wasn't
board
as,
out there,
yeah, I wasn't as familiar.
living out there at one time.
You've been here most of your life, right? So how long ago has it been since Lake Daniels was all these things I hear about? I've only been here 11 years, but I hear about all these events that went out there. Didn't they used to drag boat
We had drag
races?
boat races.
People come from all over?
Yes, it was a big, kind of like that one they have down there, what's
Yeah,
that?
Marble Falls.
Marble Falls, yeah,
Marble Falls.
same people, the same
Wow.
organization. Same
Probably been
organization.
20 years.
Yeah, then we had so much drought, the lake got slow, it went completely dry.
Wow.
They put in what, those big boat docks or cement slabs to launch those boats and bring them in.
Wow.
And they had real good, they had Budweiser come out and do their photo shoots, I mean, it was.
Yeah, that Marble Falls thing's a big deal too.
And way
Southern
back,
Drag Boat Association who put it on.
and way back when they had a lake warden that actually lived out there. That's where part of that septic system comes from. There used to be a house sitting out there.
Wow.
Yeah, I could see where that could become a good thing.
Good draw.
Breckenridge, yeah, a good draw. And needed.
Yeah. I would need to get hotels and restaurants, so that they're staying over, right?
There's a place where EDC can talk to.
Okay,
Thanks, Ken.
y'all need anything else? And, like I said, we'll still be around, we'll be back again next month. Give us a date and then, or we'll throw you some dates and then we'll bring the whole thing to y'all. After we get through this process of getting this grant, all the plan done and sent up to the, grant people, we're gonna come back around and finish out the regulations, subdivision regulations and the new zoning. So we're gonna be working on this. We're just trying to get all the grant requirements done and get this to TA before the deadline is done.
And that's in June.
It's June, but we actually have a couple of months after that to finish up final public hearing and that kind of stuff. But we'll immediately, as I was talking to Cynthia about, we'll immediately pivot to the zoning. Because there's gonna be the nuts and bolts of getting that through. Since we're doing a new ordinance, think of how the city has to do if one person wants to get a zoning change. It's the same process, like, we're gonna have to talk to the attorney about whether we have to notify every single property owner in the city. And so some attorneys say yes, and some say you can put the notice of the hearing. So you guys will have notice of the hearing on the website and in the paper. However, it may be mailing out to everybody, depending on your attorney.
Okay.
But all that works can be done through here. In other words, we gotta come through here with those two ordinances before it passes on to the commission. But there's a lot of rules, especially involved related to when you're putting up brand new ordinance.
That zoning is gonna be a big undertaking, there's a lot of meat to it.
There is, and we'll get a lot of that done. We'll do a lot of that work with staff, and by the time you get it, we're just, you need to look at it, make sure you're okay with what, but, some of the main things are talking about, mobile homes inside, they're only gonna be allowed in mobile home districts, and there's gonna be kind of a downtown development overlay we're working on that will have, anytime there's an overlay district, if it's in a commercial district, that has its own restrictions, right? And then you add an overlay to it, so there's an additional level. And then there'll be somebody or a board that decides what goes, who's gonna be part of that district. Okay, so you don't wanna just jam that on everybody, right? So anyway, we'll be working a lot throughout the rest of the year, finish all these things up.
The downtown overlay will be a big thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
We're gonna adjourn this meeting. It is 5:53.